Alright, so I know I haven't played this game in a while, but we're gonna play it again now. And I know it's a little early, but sometimes it's better to wake up to a video than have to wait for a video. So let's get straight into it.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Stanley's bucket, the only co-worker he would ever truly need.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I remember being able to go in
Stepping
the
into
elevator.
his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this
honestly,
revelation, Stanley
to
may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Oh yeah, now I remember that. See, I knew it all along.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along?
I knew the code all along.
Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
I'm gonna jump.
But just as Stanley was about to proceed further into the mind control facility, he tripped and fell over the railing and into the dark void below. Thankfully, he fell directly onto the bucket, which safely cushioned his fall. Now,
There's no way that happened.
Stanley wondered.
No way.
Stanley and the bucket could find no way out of this enormous pit, and so eventually they decided that the best thing to do would be to simply get comfortable down here. So they set up a little couch and relaxed. It really wasn't so bad down here. A bit cold, perhaps. After some time had gone by, they installed a few shelves as well, and a sort of kitchenette that was useful for when the bucket was craving paninis. But it wasn't until the rugs and the standing lamps came in that it really started to feel like a home. In fact, after some time, Stanley realized that it had been ages since he had even thought of the mind control facility at all. He'd never gotten to fully explore what was up there, never been able to unearth the many mysteries of the mind control facility. This lack of closure began to eat at him. Soon he was dwelling on his regrets, and the state of their home slowly decayed as Stanley became withdrawn and neglected the cleaning. It unsettled the bucket deeply. Stanley wasn't usually like this. The bucket tried to reach out to him again and again, but to no avail. All Stanley could think about, all he could talk about, was going back, doing it over again, staying on the path. It was a mistake to leave the path. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I need to do what the narrator says. I need to see the true ending. This made no sense at all to the bucket, which was simply trying to live its life down here as comfortably as possible. Yet Stanley was unconsolable. This isn't an ending. This is just a hole in the ground. The bucket sighed. True, it wasn't an ending. But it's where we happen to be. And maybe, possibly, if we accept the reality of things, maybe this will become an ending eventually. It's what the bucket was counting on. The two of them
the bucket
waited for
needs
a
to
very
count
long
on it.
time.
All I needed to do was count on it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he... Is Stanley, without the bucket, really Stanley at all? No, surely not. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley,
That's
would
a
you
lie.
think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your
we're gonna
behavior
play the
up to
game
this
again.
point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have
Hold on, give
dire
me a sec.
consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly.
Hold on, give me a sec.
So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Oh, loading screens are the worst. Is this a bucket? I want to go back. Let me go back. Since when was there a wall there?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
That's stupid.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely
Oh my God.
incredible. Let's just
Absolutely
move on to the
incredible.
next one.
I forgot how this went.
Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Oh my God.
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
How does that make any sense?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something. And therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley.
Yes.
Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective.
Buckets.
What is a bucket? What
Buckets
isn't a
are
bucket?
great.
Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go.
I love this part.
Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. My God, I had no idea. How could... except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game.
Yeah,
So,
you need
tell
to
you
fix
what,
that.
I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Ever.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Trying to see if I can pop the balloon.
As Stanley lifted his bucket, he felt a connection to all buckets everywhere. This adventure, he decided, was for all of them. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Now it'll let me. Okay. You can crouch with 2 buttons. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Though it shakes like an elevator. Where I go down.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most
Yes, or
logical
maybe I'm better.
explanation.
I'm better than the bucket. I'm better than the bucket. I made the bucket.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that
Y'all know
read
not to go in
Mind
there.
Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
And also,
What
y'all,
horrible secret did this place
PlayStation
hold?
users.
Stanley and the bucket both
I'm pretty
wondered to
sure
themselves.
there's always a link in one of these videos to the PlayStation store where you can get this game.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley
I'm
nearly
pretty
dropped the
sure.
bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Everything is not fine. We will all die.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Yeah,
These
you need to
questions
figure
raced
that out
furiously
before
in
you do
Stanley's
anything.
feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket.
Before you give
He
it
couldn't
therapy,
accept
you
it.
need to
His
figure out
own
what's
life
going
in someone
wrong.
else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend
Before
in the
you give it
entire
therapy,
world.
you need to
At this point, he could
figure out
trust
what's going
no
wrong.
one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the
Oh no,
bucket's
it's not
plan
too
all
late.
along? To take over the machine and claim the
It is
power
too
for
late.
itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds
But
after
honestly,
another,
these are
and
actually
it dawned
cute.
on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives
Come
here
on,
in this place,
that's it.
flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Stanley is the one that needs to be happy the most. Honestly, my favorite character is
All
the
of his
bucket.
co-workers were gone, What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I'm not gonna turn my camera.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer.
Wait, hold on. Why is the train going at 5:28 a.m.?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into the manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any
12
human
a.m.
life.
for 4 hours?
Shocked, unraveled,
I
Stanley
totally
wondered
didn't.
Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety
I
isn't
forgot
healthy,
to give him
so
a
he
minute.
relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music. Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
It was very dark for a sec. Go down.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
No. Whatever. Wait, hold on. I don't remember if we gotten the void one without the bucket. I don't think we've gotten the void without the bucket.
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the Mind Control Facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours, so here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave?
Yeah,
New
perfect.
Content? Always more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Since when was I special?
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
thought the lights turned on. I swear I remember the lights turning on. Either I'm stupid and the lights turned on, or something happened. Because I don't know.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Very dark. Where is this exactly?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun.
Oh yeah, this is here. Right,
You didn't
yeah,
think I was
this is
actually
here.
just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
You need to figure out how to speak like a real person.
All of his co-workers were gone.
So I
What
know
could it
whether
mean?
you're a tape recording
Stanley
or not.
decided to go to the meeting room. What new mysteries lay in store for our
And also, I
bucket
swear we
review heroes
didn't
today?
turn
Let's
left last
find
time
out.
in the game.
Stanley
Swear last
clutched
time
the
in the
bucket
game we
tightly
didn't
to his
turn
chest.
left.
This was not
We
the
turned
correct way
right.
to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket
There's-
calling to him, telling him
just
that
something
the
to know.
employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked
I
might lead to
accidentally
the
fell
separation
down.
of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
I did not even mean to do that. I swear I did not
I
mean to
can't wait
do
to tell
that.
this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Wait, hold on. I want new content. I'm getting new content. Alright, let's see. By the way, I have 6 out of 12 trophies in this game, but it says my progress on all of the trophies is 54%. Is that off? Or is it just weird? Is it just doing that? Why is it doing that? That's what I'm wondering. That's why I'm gonna go back. But I cannot. So I shall begin the game again. I'm trying to get the door 430 trophy.
Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the trophy? Click a door 5 times? Is that all you think a trophy is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now, suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost.
Certainly 50 clicks, yeah.
Certainly 50 clicks. No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this trophy to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way no matter the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
417. What is 417?
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Yes, sir. I guess. 437?
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so. Now, back to door number 437.
Alright, let's do this.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine?
Where's the copy machine?
All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Wait, what number did he say?
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
Yes, sir, I missed it. What did he say?
Now this, Stanley thought to himself, this is a bucket. And indeed it was.
How do I get in there?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
That's a nice view. That's a very nice view. Don't you think? Yeah, very nice
This
view.
was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge
Yeah, he
was
wanted to
simply the
get that
place to
trophy,
be.
but honestly,
And
I
here it
forgot what he
was, that
said.
the bucket turned out to be
So I
correct.
just
Well, no,
stopped.
never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
But okay.
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
That's kind of scary. This is so new. Oh my gosh, new content.
Finally, yes, the bucket. Yes. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
No
to
new
his
content.
chest
It's so
and
sad.
entered the door.
No new content.
Still no one was here.
How dare
Stanley
you
needed
trick
the
me
bucket's
into
warmth
thinking
and
that there
comfort
was
now
new
more than
content.
ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where
And
he'd
there
find coming
wasn't
to a
any
staircase.
new
Stanley
content.
and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Yeah. That is very logical. Alright.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through
I
the
want to
large
try
door
and
that
do the
read
escape ending.
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door
Yeah, I know
behind them
that.
was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly
wanna
walking
die
forward
in
into
game.
a very painful death
In
for
game.
each of them.
The Black Void. Okay, so how did I make that fall? But I can't make a 10-foot fall. How did I just make that like 150-foot fall when I can't make a 10-foot
Stanley and the
fall
bucket
without
inched closer
dying?
to their demise, Stanley reflected on
That's
how
stupid.
meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to
I was
embrace the
looking
bucket. But what
down.
use is a sense of ease when you're about
Why
to
was
be
I
crushed to
looking
death?
down?
This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end as it was crushed violently to death.
Boxes.
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
Where'd the bucket go? The bucket. I'm gonna read this real quick. Yeah, okay. I finished reading it.
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than
Turn a
Stanley
bucket.
will ever be in his short life?
So, yeah. Cave drawing. No. No. Yeah.
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
Hanging bucket. Yeah, fall down there. Oh, wait, no. I grabbed the bucket.
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
Okay. Thought there was more content that time.
Even now,
'cause it was
Stanley's
just
office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a...
One man, one bucket, one chance to seize their destiny together.
Alright, well, I'm gonna end the live stream there. I'm gonna end the live stream there. I'll see y'all later in the day, I guess.